Welcome to Run, Build, Grow, the podcast that laces up its running shoes and dives deep into the heart of the communal spirit of running. I'm your host, Andrew Ware, and I'm thrilled to take you on this journey where we explore stories that go beyond the pavement. I'd like to begin this episode by inviting you to support this podcast by following or subscribing on your favorite podcasting platform or finding it online at communityrunpod.com. While you're online, head over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and rate and review the podcast to help others notice how much you enjoy it. And if you leave a review, I will read those reviews in the next podcast. Share the podcast with your running community as we grow on the run and beyond. And if you would like to support my work with a monetary donation, head on over to patreon.com/runninrev and become a member of the Runnin' Rev Run Club to help continue to keep this podcast awesome and this community great. In this episode, I have a conversation with Thomas Hicks, who is the president of Tidewater Striders. This was the first episode I recorded, so it doesn't have the same flow as the previous two episodes, but it is still a great conversation that I have with Thomas. If you'd like to hear a little bit more about Thomas, I recorded an episode with him on my previous podcast called Active Faith Podcast. And the link to that is in the show notes. If you'd like to listen to that and head back over or listen to this one and then listen to that one, Thomas is a great character, a great guy, and definitely has done a lot for Hampton Roads as he's led in the Tidewater Striders. So let's dive into this conversation. Welcome in, folks. Hopefully you're doing well. Today we have Thomas Hicks, the president of Tidewater Striders, Boston qualifier. Man, I mean, Thomas's accolades are like millions of miles long. Thomas, how you doing today?
Good. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. So as we kind of get this podcast, this episode started, for our listeners, maybe unpack just for a second what it has meant for you to be a part of a running community, whether it's Striders, whether it's things that you did before you were, solely affiliated with Striders. What has the running community meant for you?
Well, I can tell you the best would be the way I started in the running community. Back, was it 14 years ago, close 13 years ago, 13, 14 years ago, when I left the Pentagon, DC, and I came here to retire. That was after my MS diagnosis, and I started getting in shape to help fight my MS, and I started running again, and I went to a race, and then I found the group called Hampton Roads Runners. Well, Hampton Roads Runners was like the only group around, like meetup groups and stuff. Now you have all these run clubs, but Hampton Roads Runners had 3 or 4 meetups at evening in different places all over Hampton Roads. So I found these people that ran and I started training with them. And these are people that I'm still really good friends with. William Talent is one of them. Eric Martinez, guys that are really close friends of mine. But we all started running together, and we started going races together and doing things together, socials together. And it was just, it just helped me focus on feeling better and running. So the community, that group was so awesome, but then it expanded for me when I wanted to get my sons into running, and somebody from Hampton Roads Runners that I would meet up at 5:30 in the morning, an older gentleman, told me about Tidewater Striders. So I looked into the Striders, assigned my kids up, and got them in New Energy. That's how I met John Lighting, another good friend of mine. His kids were in New Energy at the time as well, and he was coaching. So I got into coaching at Mount Trashmore with that, got into the Striders, and then seen all the great things the Striders do and all the community races and all that stuff. Then I started getting into really racing, and then, started going to J&A races and metal events, just going around and going to all the events and just seeing how great the community was. And then just the support of the communities when people started finding out about my health issues and all the things I was going through. I mean, I was many races. I was taken in the hospital for an ambulance a few times, and I've had so many issues in the past. And then just having the community wrap around me and support me was really awesome. Back in the day when I would put on a church I was going to. We put on a race, a 5K, um, to raise money for MS, and J&A helped support that. Um, get that going. So a lot of good support for me personally over the years with the running community. When I had to start running with a stroller, um, Jerry was the first. I asked him; he was the first one to let because the rule is you're supposed to start in the back, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm still running fast. So things like that, people would always support things that I did, and they supported me and understood. Same thing with medal events. Same thing with Striders, because I wasn't part of Striders then. They were they were actually the last ones to be okay
Oh
with me
man.
running. That's one of the reasons why I was like, I think it's time for new leadership over there. So that's one of what I mean. So basically, it's just the whole community how they supported me with my health issues and helped me grow, and that's why I went into the Striders and wanted to give back to the community, and why I do all what I do for the community is because how much support I got over the years, and you don't get a better support than this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. I mean, all the great run clubs out there, any club you go to, any meetup you go to, everyone is, you know, it's just a great community. People do care, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's very welcoming. People, I mean, people care about each other. They care about how they do, raising people up, and that's what it's about, right? Getting people out together and all that. So that's kind of from the beginning how I feel about the running community and why I do the things because of the support I've gotten for so many years.
And you talk about your MS, your multiple sclerosis, and for those of you listening, I'll link in the show notes to an episode of my other podcast, Active Faith, that Thomas and I recorded. And you talk about sort of the welcoming reception you received, even in the midst of struggling with this neurological, disorder that you have. And so, what has it been like as you've been running with folks, as you've been participating? That not only have the people along this journey helped you become a better runner, but even so that have they been the folks there, supporting you along your MS journey? Because even just in the last year, I know, knowing you've had some ups and downs in terms of, bouts and flare ups and things like that. Are these relationships, they're coming from, running on the trails, but are they also kind of coming along where like having a bad day and maybe they're like texting you back and forth and things like that?
Oh yeah, I can tell you. I mean, over the years, I mean, like I said, I've been put in the hospital after a race, or people find out that I have issues. People come visit me in the hospital. They've called, text, Facebook stuff, Facebook Messenger, or just comment on Facebook. People just really care. And that means so much, right? I would say 2014, 2015 was my hardest years. I never thought I would actually be able to run
Mm.
competitively again, like, you know just going to be slugging it out for the rest of my life as long as I could possibly hold it. And people really were really supportive during that. So that time was really difficult for me, at going from running really good to knowing, oh, my body's probably eaten up forever now, but very supportive. Same thing. I was on a cane in August for three weeks. Most of
Mm.
August, I was on a cane because my balance issues were so bad I couldn't walk, and people were so supportive of that, of me, and um, I really appreciate that. Like, it was very appreciative that people cared. They do
Yeah.
care. They reach out to me, and they understand. And then now I'm running good again. knock on wood, right? So I had a good Harbor Lights. So I
Yeah.
had, things are happening, and but it's nice to have that support, right? And like we talked about, all the run clubs, I tried to go and I try to go as much as possible. It's hard for me to kind of go to all the groups and stuff because I have a family.
Yep.
My daughter's in New Energy and soccer, right? So
Yeah.
that takes my whole week in the evenings out.
It's
So
all
I do
gone.
try to go through the community because I love being around the groups. That's one of the reasons we Striders started the Run Club of the Month, so
Mm-hmm.
we can make sure we get out at least once a month with one of the run clubs, so we can uh, talk, enjoy each other, find out what's going on, and stay focused together in the running community. But I've had a lot of people, I mean, like I said, a lot of great friends, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
support. I mean, like Hunter from Endeavor, we've been friends for 13, 14 years from the beginning when I run. Same as William Talent, Eric Martinez. Those guys, we've been together for David Mick for years, right? So those guys, literally, when I say they've lifted me up, they've literally lifted me from the ground before. Like on runs,
Yeah.
I've fallen from spasms, and they've picked me up and supported me. They've had to go get their car to drive where I am to pick me up and take me back to where we started our long run at. So there's so much to talk about, right?
Yeah.
How much caring I've had over the years, to support. And again, that is the reason I do what I do for the running community, is
Mm-hmm.
because of how much I know that people do care, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I go out and I do all this stuff for the communities, because of what everyone has done for me, and that's exactly why I do it, because of
Yeah.
I know everyone cares, right? So you have to try to show that back, and that's what I try to do.
And so there's this extension of, you've been here for, this great amount of time and have been a part of these smaller groups. And as these smaller groups have kind of gotten in, now you find yourself in a position where you are in a room making decisions about what Hampton Roads running can look like. Whether it's, in the Tidewater Striders, meet with the board for Tidewater Striders, and we'll talk about them in a second, or, you're meeting with all the presidents of, Striders and Peninsula Track Club and Colonial Roadrunners, or you're meeting with, each of these individual run clubs. Hearing your story, it's taking what you've experienced from all these great places, all of these friendships that have fostered over this time. And now it's finding ways to create a space for those friendships to foster in other ways between other people. And I think one of the greatest examples for me was not this year, but last year at Harbor Lights when we were doing the JNA race, and Runsimo forgot their tent and didn't have a tent. And even though we were registered with different clubs, different groups, it's like, no, come on and hang out. I think we recognize the way in which, we lift each other up. And especially this year, everybody being along that corridor there at the finish line and cheering all these runners on. Most of the times we don't even know the names of the runners. We don't know, what their journey's been like. But, being able to take what we've received in the running community and be able to offer it back to other folks. I think that's one of the big things that helps this community continue to grow, continue to, not be on show, but just be there for other folks, so that, we've got people coming in and finishing, and they're just motivated by what's happening in this community.
Oh, of course. And I don't think I know Jerry Frostic has said it a few times at certain other events about how this community is so awesome, right? I mean, it's such a great community. Because I think I talked to him about this before. If you think about it, right, you have one of the largest run clubs in the United States of America. You have one of the largest small business running companies, J&A
Mm-hmm.
Racing, that puts on one of the best marathons probably in the country, right? You have multiple run clubs and run groups in the area. I've been all over the country, and I don't remember seeing just a running community like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have multiple choice. The Striders, Avi put this thing together not too long ago that has every run club, run group. It's a list of every club and every group and when they meet. If
Yep.
you look at that list, it's amazing. Like
Yeah.
every day, there's somewhere for you to go, multiple places to go and meet up and run with people, right? To enjoy and camaraderie, enjoy each other, and different areas, right? Norfolk, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Portsmouth, Suffolk. There's everywhere you can go. So I don't know another area that has
Yeah.
that, because when I went to the RCA convention and I told them about our community, right, when I spoke there, um, people just couldn't believe that we had that going on in our community, right?
Yeah.
That we had all these different things. I mean, they because people are like, oh, we're trying to build our youth program, but we can't get people to volunteer and all this. We don't have that problem.
Yeah.
We get people out to volunteer because the reason why we can get people out to volunteer for all the events around here is because everyone's so involved and everyone communicates and everyone wants to support each other, which is really great the way it's supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's what's so great about this area is that we got so many great things. And then, talk about all the great things we have. Also, we have great running stores. We have Running Etc. We have Point Two. We just have such a great community, and everyone's supportive of it. So I think that's why it's so awesome around here, and why we can't help not to support and help
Yeah.
each other, and that's what it's about, because everyone has the same goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same goal. Well, not the same goal, but everyone has a
Yeah.
goal in running. It's either, be healthy, uh, improve. Not everyone's going to win races. Not everyone's going to get age group awards, right? But did you beat yourself? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
are you better today than you were yesterday? And that's what it's about. And I think everybody's good about that. Another great group like Pack Training. We
Yeah.
meet on Saturday mornings. So we've been meeting with Pack for the last couple of years over there. They're another great group. They're all about just lifting each other up. Um, and all that. Like your group, you guys are great. We meet up with you guys plenty of time, run some mo.
Yep.
I just, it's just great. And like I said, get to go see them every month for run clubs of the month.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the clubs I know, like you guys, I've been out there before. Some of the clubs for the first time, like RWB, I've I've actually never been to RWB till last month when they were our run club of the month. So it was cool to kind of be involved with them and see how they do things. Ocean View Run Club, Run
Yeah.
OV. I mean, it's so many groups.
Well, and
Norfolk Run Club, FOMO. It's just unbelievable.
and
Nurk.
and they all kind of they all kind of have their own little niche within their communities. We
They did.
have clubs that are catered like towards veterans. I know we have clubs that are catered towards like military spouses, towards we have the stroller pushers. Oh gosh, I can't even remember the name
Stroller
anymore.
Warriors, right?
The
Virginia Beach
stroller
Stroller
warriors,
Warriors.
that's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah, and a couple of places on that. And it makes me reflect back, 15 years ago when I left Hampton Roads for the first time and went to college. For me, the only thing I knew was my high school cross country team, New Energy, and Tidewater Striders. I got my first pair of running shoes at Running, etc. And then I kind of joke and jest that I came back and it was like there's this, kind of like you talked about, there was this huge like explosion of now it's not just kind of focused around like Hampton Roads runners and Tidewater Striders, but it's this huge thing. And to think about kind of how that started with just a bunch of people kind of saying, the way that we started Run Sumo was just like, hey, there's like nothing happening in this like Western Branch area of Hampton Roads right now. And, just to be able to kind of see a lot of that flourish and come about. I talked before that, and to kind of move ourselves towards Tidewater Striders, Tidewater Striders, 1972, what started out with just 15 local runners who were like, hey, we need something. We need something here. Just seeing kind of like the flashpoint that creating this community, that bringing people together has, when you start to develop running, not just as something that can take you from one place to another, not as something that can just help you to hit your goals, but running as a chance to practice community, and then running as a chance to give back to the community. And a lot of the stuff that especially we've seen here in Hampton Roads of being able to give back to the community, a lot of it kind of begins with that sort of original Tidewater Striders mentality. And you've been the president now for how long?
5 years. 5 years
for
now.
for 5 years, and even seen in your tenure the way that things have kind of bolstered up, to really not, it's very community focused, right? You're putting on races where you're inviting folks and offering a competitive place for people to compete, for people to hit their goals, right? Y'all do the track events, y'all do 5K, you do Elizabeth River Run. But then you also have this arm where it's like, all right, we're not just running all the time. But you have like Adopt a Trail. You are doing these food drives. You're doing these community outreach events. And so what sort of role has a lot of that stuff played in helping not just to make Hampton Roads a great running community, but what sort of role have those community outreach things played in Hampton Roads and Tidewater Striders just being an embedded part of Hampton Roads? Like when something's wrong, people call Tidewater Striders to help, not just because you need to run, but because you need something done.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm I put in about 4 to 6 hours a day. A majority of it's dealing with not just our races, but dealing with the community as well, right? Everyone's always coming to us and asking us how we can help with their races or with community, and they want to do this. I want to do this event. I want to put on a race to raise money for this, my school, this or that. We're just here totally to support. We also time the Virginia Beach high school cross country races, the
Mm-hmm.
dual meets. We do that, and again, we don't charge for that. We do all that stuff. We do to support the community. We also do, like you said, the Adopt a Trails and all those programs that we do. We're just the outreach. We just want to give back. When the Striders were started, it was to give back to the community. Everything that comes into us, we go right back out, and that's how we are. We're a club, we're a nonprofit, so we're here to support. We're not here to, and again, we'll support anybody. Like we've
Mm-hmm.
had people that had races going on the same weekend as us, and they wanted help and support. We supported them.
Yeah.
We actually put their race on our, we'll put them on our website, whatever. We will support them. Full on, because that's what we're supposed to do, right? Again, that's what it's about. We're about the community. We're about supporting everything. And again, the Striders all came about from, Jerry Brocree got a couple guys together. They
Yep.
started Shamrock Marathon, and then a few weeks later, they started the Tidewater Striders.
Yep.
So it just boomed from there. And then for years and years, they just wanted to support the community, build the community. And now we put it to and then for a little bit, things started. Striders were still doing races, but they weren't supporting the community as much, right? Wasn't out for a lot of community events and things. We're still doing the highway and the Adopt a Trail, but not out, you know, pushing stuff like helping the community build. And I think the last 5 years we were really good with that. We were there during COVID when when a lot of people couldn't put on races, but
Yeah.
because we could do it, because we were a nonprofit and we were okay, we don't have to pay our staff. We're okay about, we lost a little money. That's not a big deal, right? It's just about keeping running alive. And that's what we did. And we fully supported that. We did it in a safe way, fully safe. And we enjoyed that we can give back to the community, and the community gave back to us. We had full support from everyone else, right? Like, running, etc. Point two, people really supported us doing those things as well. So yeah, I just think that this community is pretty awesome, man. I mean,
Yeah.
we go to the events, we see it. At Shamrock, they had the alley. What was that called? The Run Club Alley,
The Run
right?
Club Alley. Yeah.
Run Club Alley. I mean, that was pretty amazing. I set up the Strider tent beforehand, and then I ran the half. And when I went through that half, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty exciting to go through that. And then I know Jerry mentioned it, but you see, like Shamrock, people come from all over the country to run Shamrock.
Oh
So you
yeah.
see people from all over the country. They're saying, "Wow, what the heck is that?" I mean, that's the community. That's all the run clubs around here
Yeah.
locally. I mean, that's pretty impressive that you see that. Even what you said at Harbor Lights, that you had lined up, all the run clubs were there cheering, hanging out with each other, talking. It was just so these things. That's pretty amazing when everybody can come together and enjoy themselves. And it is. There's friendly competition here and there, right? We have
Always.
we have
Always.
our Harbor Lights had the Harbor Lights Cup, and we have this, it's friendly competition. No one's going home with
We
a
still have
bucket
the
of,
fastest runner in Hampton Roads.
yeah, a
Oh.
bucket of money, right? I mean, so I'm just saying
Yeah.
it is what it is. We all it's cool to have that kind of back and forth and stuff like that. I mean, us and Colonial Roadrunners, we're always going at each other for the age grade team.
Yep.
We're always giving each other hell. They just took it from us at ER. We've had it like 4 years in a row, and they finally beat us. So I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And even the faster runners, the competitive runners, everybody has their. We still support each other, but we still want to beat each other as well,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and there's this huge, matter of perspective and everything, because we see that all the time. I can come up to you after a race and be like, how did you do? And you'll have gotten like second or third or sometimes first, depending on the competition of the race. And there's ragging back and forth, especially if Ryan Carroll's running and you maybe got beat out by him. But there's also like this sentimentality that what was it, Chaz? 2 years ago, like you got second to Ryan, and then we're all just like palling around at
Yeah,
Momac afterwards, just drinking. And so, I mean, you're right. Like there's a level of understanding between all of us that we can both, that this idea of community is we're here for each other, we're backing each other up, we're having fun together. But I mean, we can also like make it competitive. We had a guy coming to Run Club last night after we lost out on this belted tacky sweater. And we were all just like, furious and angry. And he's like, man, I didn't realize like Run Club was so like intense and competitive. I'm like, look, we may like sit back and like drink 3 or 4 beers like after we run, but no, we're going to go in there. If
yeah,
there is a belt or a cup or something that can be won, we're going to put our best effort into it.
yeah,
But I think about that Run Club tunnel at Shamrock, and so I mean that's like the big thing behind wanting to have done this podcast, because you know, that was I remember running Shamrock when I was in college, and coming through, and the course was reversed back when I ran it, when I ran the
yeah,
marathon. And for those of you who don't know, go and look at the Shamrock course. You kind of have like the northern portion and the southern portion, and right now you run north first and then south. But it used to be flipped for the marathon. But I remember that kind of section of Atlantic, like just getting ready to either go onto the boardwalk, or now for you all going all the way south down to Rudy Inlet Bridge. It used to be just completely dead, like this
yeah,
dead zone of running. And I remember talking to Pete Hansen after the race and just saying, man, that was so great, because for me in the half marathon, it was like right as I'm finishing the race. And I was like, gosh, it was just such a boost, and seeing all the run clubs, and especially like knowing the run community here. And, as I'm running through the groups, seeing the folks from Run Samoth, seeing the folks from Striders, seeing, James Moore at the Endeavor tent, or, Tommy Neeson giving me heck every time I'm out there. It's those kinds of things that kind of, we can give each other crap, give each other heck, but we also like support each other because we want to see the best. It's like, I know you, Thomas, you like to win races, but you don't want to just win by like a country mile. Like, you enjoy the competition and you enjoy the people around you. And I think we can all look and see that when there is that sort of competitive spirit, and when there is that community mentality, it's pushing us to do these amazing things, whether it's PR events or, set records, or, whatever it is.
yeah. It's about lifting each other up, and that's how it is. Again, your competition, you want to beat the person, right, when you're racing, but you're also going to lift. You also lift each other up afterwards. Good race. Sorry, somebody has a bad race. Sorry, you had a bad race. And it happens, right? We all
Yeah.
have bad days. We don't feel good. Things happen, and for me, to be honest, I like to see other people do well, right? I mean, I know what I can do, and sometimes my health doesn't help, right? But I still do it. But I do. I honestly like to see people do well. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I like to cheer them on. I like to see. I don't. I always want to see people get better, right? And when you see a person that runs a 26 something 5K, and they just freaking PR'd by a whole minute because they've
Yep.
been working their butts off, right? They lost some weight and that is what fuels me as well. Like, love seeing. That's why I love on Facebook when people do post about what they do and stuff like that. Like, oh, I just PR'd in by a minute, or you know, I'm getting faster and all that stuff. It's just great to see because it's supportive, and that's what people. That's why people join groups as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's they join it because they want that camaraderie. That you need to lift each other up, right? You
Well,
know,
and
not
there's
the
that idea.
kumbaya
Yeah.
thing, but people do lift each other, and that's what people need. Some people need that in their life. They need that person saying, "Hey, it's okay. You had a bad race. You're going to be good next time." And or man, you just PR'd. I'm so happy for you. I mean, for when someone's more happy than I am in my race, that's pretty cool, right? Like
Yeah.
that is pretty neat. I mean, we've had people Boston qualify this weekend, right? They've
Yep.
been working the Boston qualify, really working hard for the last couple of years to Boston qualify, and they Boston qualified. This, you know, I was as happy as they were to see
Yep.
because you know, how much work they put into it, right? So, and how, and you want to keep that energy going because that keeps them intrigued and wanting to do more and all that stuff. So, I think that's and it's all around the community. Everybody's like that. I mean, I don't know anybody that wants someone not to succeed. I mean, that
Yeah.
wouldn't be very good. But most people want everyone to do better. And again, a lot of people ain't out there to break records. A lot of people out there to be healthy, right?
Yeah.
Just to live a better, healthy lifestyle. I mean, I started running again to fight my MS,
Yeah.
and I'm racing and I'm doing well. That's great, right? But at the end of the day, if I'm still standing up straight and not in a wheelchair, that's still a win for me, right? Even
Mm-hmm.
though I might say, "God darn it, I had a bad race," pissed off, whatever. But it's still at the end of the day, the goal is to stay healthy. That
Yeah.
is the goal, and that's what's so great about. I mean, again, I've been in this community now 13, 14 years, and it's a wonderful community.
And I think Hampton Roads is one of the only places, and there's nothing against, I ran in DC, I ran when I lived in Richmond. And I mean, Richmond is one of the things that fostered my love for running community because it was one of the first, run teams that I had been at, run clubs that I had been a part of since I was in cross country in high school and a part of the Striders. But I always love it. And one of the reasons I love races at the Dismal Swamp is some of these out and back courses or courses where people are like, running opposite directions during the race. It doesn't matter if it's like the people towards the end of the race and the walkers or the people up front, like running these fast times. But there is an acknowledgement of everything that everybody is doing. And I will hear people who are running like the same pace that I am at my, 6:37 flat miles and stuff like that. And we're cheering on the folks on the other side of the road. They're cheering us on as we're going along. It's this collective understanding. And to me, when we start talking about running community and we start talking about, what are the ways that we all grow together, this is one of the imperative things that sometimes often gets missed is that, we do running a lot for ourselves. And I think that there are those folks who, they are those solo runners. They are those alone runners. But I also think that there's something to be said for, us all lifting each other up together. We've done it at Run Sumo where it's kind of like, hey, Mike and I, who are the leaders of Run Sumo, we'll just be like, hey, I'm going on a 4 mile run and whoever wants to join me, join me. And they're like, oh, we can't keep up with you. I said, and Mike and I have a rule. When we do these, we say, nope, we go off the pace of the easiest runner. And so whatever that easy pace is, we'll drop back and we'll kind of just hang out and have conversation. If we go, 12-minute pace, that's fine. If we're, run walking, that's fine. But it's that community thing. And we see the community continue to get built up through that. And so for you moving forward, I know you've got a bunch of exciting things on the docket, not just with Tidewater Striders, but I also know, some of the goals and plans that you have. I can't remember, are you going back to Boston?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I said this before, but I think people get confused because I have a thing. I have a motto. It's called "One More Round." One
Yeah.
more round for me is I. It's not just one last race. One more round is for me when I feel like it's a saying. It's my friend gave this to me years ago. And pretty much what one more round is when you get knocked down and you're getting beat up, and that's what this sickness does, right? Beats you up. And then you just say, listen, I'm going to go out and fight today. Like I have one more round. So that's how
Mm-hmm.
I do every day in my life. I fight like I have today's my last day. That's what I go to fight. So it's you fight one more round. So when I say it's my last Boston, people like thinking it's one more round. I've been for years that I was saying one more round. That was my last Boston. No, it's not what it is. One more round is the way I do it. But because Boston does not allow me to push, and I have to
Yeah.
have people tend on me and guide and hold it, and it just beats my body up because I'm unbalanced. I don't have nothing to lean on. It's really battle with my body. So this year, last in Marine Corps Marathon last year, I got to qualify with Hannah pushing
Mm-hmm.
her for Angie's Angels. So we qualified for Boston and we got in this year. So I'm going to push her this year, and this will be my last Boston. I think it'll be my 10th Boston and my last
Yeah.
one. So,
Well,
uh,
and your Boston journeys, at least the last couple, have been interesting because the last Boston you did was one of the first ones where the Boston Athletic Association allowed this different start time for disabled, differently abled runners.
yeah,
Am I correct? Yeah.
yeah,
Uh,
they've gotten so much better. So I've been in that program for years, right? And the
yeah.
program has gotten so much better over the years. I mean, way better. Like they were starting us in the back, and it was now they were more up front. Um, you know, we have VIP access now where they put us in a church beforehand, and then we go in the
Mm-hmm.
VIP tent after. So we're treated good. We get to ride nice, not school buses, but real luxury buses. So we do get treated really well. The program is just getting a lot better. So
Mm-hmm.
and then they used to have Dick and Rick Hoyt used to be the only people that used to push. Now there's
Mm-hmm.
I think they allow 10 to 12 team team Hoyts to
Yeah.
push duo teams, and we were lucky enough to be selected as one of them. We qualified.
Yeah.
Um, it's not hard to select because there ain't that many people that can qualify pushing 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 because you have to have for duo team both people have to be over 18, right?
Yeah.
So and me and Hannah are actually going to be the first team that are both fully uh, disabled. Like, so she's disabled, and I'm also disabled. So a
Yeah.
disabled athlete pushing a disabled athlete, um, which is pretty cool, right? I mean, it's a pretty neat thing that we're both. I don't know if they're going to give me a guide yet. Because usually I get a guide, but
Yeah.
now that I'm pushing, I might. I don't know yet,
I'll
but
say Dean did it for you last time, didn't he?
yeah, but because I can't run really fast without the stroke because I can't move my balance.
Yeah.
So we just go pretty. I'm trying to run three. I'm trying to still run 3:15 pushing her. So I'm gonna need
Man.
somebody
Oh
that
my
can.
gosh.
I'm gonna need somebody that can haul a little bit, right? You know,
Yeah.
and because if there's an issue with me, I'm gonna need someone to grab. It's not just me, right?
Yeah.
If something's wrong with me, I got another person there that needs to
Tending
help
to, yeah.
tend to. So, because if I'm doing it, I want to go out. I'm going to give it all. I have to work a little harder. I have to do some more upper body strength because I can tell you between mile 16 and 20, hitting heartbreak, going up with that
Yep.
180 pounds. Because with the stroller and her in there, it's probably going to be 180 pounds going up those hills.
At
Um,
least.
yeah. So I'm going to need all the push I can and all the
Yeah.
strength I need to get up there. But yeah, I'm very excited about that. There was many times me and Dean were running and we're like, we've seen somebody with a stroller. We're like, hey, we're going to take your baby and we'll meet us at the finish line.
Oh gosh.
Because I was ready just to take a stroller and just start leaning, running with
Yeah.
it. And Dean's like, well, then we would have had to run faster.
Yeah. My favorite thing to do to Thomas pre-race is just to try and sit in his stroller to get a ride to the finish line.
Yeah. I've also had people try to put the brake on it.
Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, I think in the
But
last race we had to tell Mav, "Hey Mav, you need to like Mike and I, because you had mentioned it to us, and so Mike and I mentioned to Mav, like, all right, Mav, just like watch out for Thomas on the start because he will go out."
yeah, well,
So yeah,
we tell people. I mean, there's people that go up there. It's just like
okay.
Um, Back in the day, I would say, what was it? When I first started running with the stroller all the time, um, there was somebody mentioned behind me, said something. Why is that guy up there? Right. And then I think it was Scott Ward told him, he's like, go, well, because you're only going to see him for the first 20 seconds and then you won't see him again.
Yeah.
So they just had no idea. Right. They're like, why is this guy in a stroller up here? Until I just took off and they're like, oh, crap. So
If it's an out and back course, you'll see him again. You'll see him
yeah, you
passing
see
you
me.
on the way
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember that story. Scott Ward told me that story. Was somebody mentioned it and he told him, he said, yeah, because you're only going to see him for like 20 seconds.
Yeah, no, you're not going to see him very long. He's going to be
So
out and gone.
so that's a cool thing. But yeah, I'm excited about Boston, and then I'll see how it goes there. I don't know after that. I think the marathons for me are just gonna. Think I'm gonna just go do halves and below because
Hey,
it just takes a lot of my body, and I've done. Whew, man, I've done 20 something marathons.
hey.
So with MS, that's hard, man. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just it's difficult.
I've done one and didn't have a fun time. So I can't imagine everything you've been through doing that many.
Yeah, so I don't have to do that anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I got my goal. Sub 3 was really hard for me because again, I can run these 5Ks and 10Ks up to a half, but anything over that, my body really starts breaking down, right, with the MS.
Hmm.
So I've never had a really great marathon except for Shamrock a couple years ago. I finally got that sub for 3, ran a 2:55 flat marathon. But so I mean, I'm over that now, right?
Yeah,
I had my goal. I was thinking I wanted to go sub 250, but I just don't think my body will
man.
respond well with that. So, and hey, I'll just half marathons. Well, I can still run good 5Ks, 8Ks, and 10Ks. So I'll take what I can
Half marathon.
until I have it. Yeah,
Half marathon is the best distance, unarguably. No.
it is. I mean, if you want to run a longer race, that's it. Because
Yep.
you don't get to that point where you're really breaking yourself, right?
Nope.
So,
So, all right. Well, let's I have a few questions. I like to end with some end of podcast stuff here. Well, here we go. I guess we answered this one. So, what is your favorite race distance?
oh my, well, I was a miler in heart in high school and college, right? So the mile is it was always my go-to, but
Uh-huh.
right now I love the 5Ks, man. I just love them. They're just enough, I mean, they're hard. 5Ks are very hard because you got to go out, you got to run, right? But
Yeah.
I just love the whole, you got to go out and just haul as fast as you can for 3.1 miles. So I just kind of love right now 5K is my distance that I like racing.
What has been your favorite race that you have ever run?
Favorite race? Well, I cannot not say Boston. I'm
Uh,
sorry. Boston is down my favorite. It's the World Series of running, right?
yeah.
It's the Super Bowl of running. The environment, you're not getting an environment anywhere else. I've been to New York, right? I've run New York, and New York was special because I grew up in New York and I grew up
Yep.
around the marathon. Um, but there's just something about Boston, man, that once you, that's why I've been back so many times. Once you
Hmm.
go, it's like it's an addiction. It's like it gets into your blood. Like this is I need to be a part of this every single year, right? Like this is amazing. And if you talk to other people that run Boston, they're going to tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
That's why it's like an addiction. You see these people go crazy. Like, I hope I get in. I hope I get in.
Yep.
I qualified with a minute over. I hope like this year I was 5.5 minutes faster than your qualifying time. So, and all these people are like, I got to get in. I got to get in. So, because it's so special and they make everyone feel special
Hmm.
in that race. And that's why I hope the qualifying thing never goes away because it's the one race where, yeah, it's not everyone, right?
Yeah.
You do feel special that you had to work hard to get into something. And, we're not all Olympic qualifiers, right? We're all not
Nope.
going to be that level, but there is a certain level that we still can think we're a little bit better.
Yep.
Right. So I would say definitely Boston would be is my favorite race.
All right. What is your go-to pre-race meal?
Go to
Yeah.
uh pasta.
Pasta. All right.
Spaghetti. I do spaghetti and I do eggplant. Eggplant Parmesan. That's my go-to,
Ooh.
especially for a half and a marathon. That's my
Yeah.
go-to.
And then what is your go-to running shoe?
Well, Hoka, the Hoka X's, um,
Ooh, yes.
the Carbon X's are
The
my
Carbon
training
X.
shoe.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the Nike, the cheat shoes, you want to call them, the Nike, what they call the Zoom Flies or whatever. Those are my
No.
racing shoes. So hey, to run against these other fast guys, you gotta wear those. You gotta wear what they wear.
Quick
I
thing
mean,
before we hop off. Ryan Carroll got me my first pair of super shoes. And the first time I put them on, he had me put them on in a workout. And the first time I put them on, I literally thought I was overstriding because just the bounce off of them. Like
it's
it is,
ridiculous.
it is so weird. And even in sort of, the front mid pack where I am, it's, I don't know how much of a difference it makes, but I felt really good at the end of my half marathon in the spring. I
Hey,
ran about a
it's not cheating because
7
everyone
minute
can
PR.
buy them. I mean, I
It's
don't know
very
if
true.
everybody can afford them,
Boredom.
but
Yeah. No, yeah.
but they're out there for everyone to use, right? So, and now everybody's copying, right? Adidas is doing theirs. You know, all the other companies are doing their
Yeah.
own version
I
of
use
cheat
the
shoes.
Saucony Endorphin Pros. Those
Okay.
are the ones that I use for racing. The the Alpha Flies, those things are just so weird. Like they've got like a really weird like cushion.
I can't do the Alpha Flies. That's why
Yeah.
I do the Zoom ones.
Oh, okay. The Zoom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not the full cheating, like the half cheating shoe. I can't do because it's too high up front. It's too
Oh,
high in the
yeah.
midpoint. I can't do that. But
Yeah.
the Zooms, the Zoom Flies, I think they call them, the regular, the ones, the fast ones. Those are the
Yeah.
ones that I enjoy running with those.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Thomas. It's been a great time having you here today. And I'll make sure to have ways to connect with Thomas, as well as, I'll go ahead and put the Striders event calendar for the year up. I mean, y'all do about 15 or 20 races a year, and they got all kinds of fun stuff. So I'll make sure to link to all of that in the show notes. Thomas, you have a good day.
You too. Thanks.
Thank you for joining another great conversation. And remember, make every mile count.